All right, let's start, okay? We have about a half an hour. We'll start with equanimity. But what are you laughing at? I'm going to get through them all four. Well, you had to have an introduction, didn't you? So we have four to do. We'll go through each one. I wanted also to illustrate each of the four immeasurables with a couple of lines from what they call the eight verse lojong. This is one of the most famous of the lojong. Lojong means development of the good heart. If you look in your appendix, appendix 2, the 8 verses for developing the good heart, by a guy named Dorje Senge. He's a Tibetan. Dorje means diamond. Senge means lion. He's got a really cool name. Diamond lion, Senge. Senge is Tibetan for Sinha. Sinha in Sanskrit. Sinha means lion. So maybe you've heard of the city called Singapore. 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 Singapore means the city of lions. Singapore. Okay, anyway, just so you. The 8 verses for developing the good heart by the diamond lion, Dorje Senge of Longri Tang. This is a place name in Tibet. 1054 to 1123. And we'll go through, it just conveniently seems to work nicely that each one of these, each pair, that there are 4 pairs of these verses. Each pair relates to one or another of the 4 immeasurables. Or at least I'm seeing them, and so we'll just make it work, okay? But this is a classic text from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition on how to develop a good heart. And you'll see that that Dorje Senge is very demanding of you. Very demanding. Okay? He's not, by the time you get into about the 3rd, 4th, let alone the 5th verse here, you're going, no way. No, Diamond Lion, not going to do it. And Diamond Lion's going to say look, if you're going to overcome your self-cherishing, you got to use some pretty heavy methods. You can't coddle your self-cherishing. You can't coddle selfishness. You have to drive a car bomb into selfishness. That's what this is. Lojong technique is terrorist activity against your selfishness. Okay? So it's very radical. The Lojong techniques are very radical. The Dalai Lama teaches Lojong regularly. You can read about it. There's books published on it. It's not a secret. However, for many, many centuries it was kept secret. It was kept secret because it's so radical. And people thought, the people who knew these Lojong techniques said, we can't teach this to just anybody. Because, if you teach this to a big group, there'll be people who just diss it. There'll be people say oh, that's just crazy. And that would be very, very bad for them. So don't prove, so then at some point say, well, we don't really know, and it's really, really good for people if they did do this, and we don't really know that they'll diss it, so we better take a chance. So don't prove them wrong, okay? And when you read these things, when you learn about these things, minimally, just shelve it and say, well, I don't think I can do that now. I don't know if that's really a good thing to do, but don't say that's stupid. So don't say, oh, that's just a stupid way to live. Because that plants some very, very negative seeds in your mind. That plants a very big obstacle seed, seeds of obstacles in your mind of ever developing a good heart for other people. By saying, it's stupid to develop a good heart, you see? So just be careful. They were tantric. They were supposed to be like tantric. Tantra means secret. And the Lojong techniques were kept like tantra for many, many centuries. So let's start with equanimity, immeasurable equanimity. I've given you a nice definition of this. This is my teacher's actually definition. My teacher, Geshe Michael Roach, taught the 4 immeasurables as part of teaching on the Yoga Sutra, where they also are found. The 4 immeasurables are ubiquitous. You know what that word means? Ubiquitous. They're found everywhere in the Indian text. They're found in the Yoga text. They're found in the Hindu text. They're found in the Buddhist text. This is one of the things that all Indian traditions agree on. They agree that the four immeasurables are a really good thing to develop. So I've also given you, as an appendix, the sutras in the Yoga Sutra where the 4 immeasurables occur. And it's kind of interesting where they do occur. This is appendix 1. They occur in relation to overcoming obstacles. Obstacles to your practice, obstacles to your development of a spiritual life. So we'll just go through it quickly. Obstacles can occur when the mind is distracted. And this can be caused by number one, illness. It's very interesting. Illness is given as the first obstacle for a spiritual life. And I think anybody who's sort of tried to develop a spiritual practice knows how detrimental illness can be for that. If you come down with a serious flu or cold, let alone something more serious, it's really hard to sit down and meditate. Or it's really hard to do your yoga asana practice. It's really hard to think about somebody other than yourself when you're feeling sick, you see. And so don't wait. Don't wait. This is we have a very, very small window of opportunity when it comes to spiritual practice. It's a very small window of opportunity. It can close at any time. At any time. You come down with the wrong kind of sickness, the wrong kind of illness, forget about it. It's just done then, okay? Forget about your spiritual. You come down with the bad news from the doctor, forget about it. It's done. Game over. Game over. You come down with certain kinds of disasters in your life that could occur at any time. The game over. So when the disaster, when we're not in the middle of the disaster, it's extremely crucial that we maximize the opportunity because it's rare and quickly lost. And unfortunately, it's exactly at those times when we're between disasters that we're least likely to practice. Because we go, no, see, it's okay now. It's all right. I'll get to it later. Right now I'm busy at the job. Right now I've got all these family obligations. Right now I've got this to do, that to do. I'm too busy right now. And then the window closes. And then there's no chance. You don't have the option anymore. There will come a time in each one of our lives when the option ends. When the option ends. And so, that's what he's saying. The first obstacle is illness, fogginess of mind, having doubts. Doubts is a big obstacle. Say, maybe living a life of altruism towards others, maybe that's right, maybe it's not. I'm not sure. I don't really want to think about it. That's what doubt means here. There's good doubt and bad doubt. The good doubt is like, I'm not going to believe it just because somebody said so. That's good doubt. Just because somebody says so doesn't mean you should believe it. You should think about it. You should hear it. You should listen. Then you should contemplate. These are the three levels. These are three levels of, wrestling with the spiritual topic. You should hear it. You should listen. Secondly, you should think about it, contemplate it over and over and over. Is it true? Is it true that I would be happier if I were less selfish and more selfless? Is that true? Over and over again, think about it. And then third, once you've come to the conclusion, one way or the other, then you meditate on it. You burn it in deeply. But first you gotta struggle with it. And it's the lazy doubt. So that's good doubt. It's like, I don't know, I haven't come to a conclusion yet. I haven't come to a conclusion yet. The lazy doubt is, I'm just not going to think about it. I don't care what the meaning of life is. See, if you ask most people, let's talk about the meaning of life. If I got into a taxi cab with my robes on, and said for most taxi, let's talk about, altruism and the meaning of life and stuff like that. It's like, buddy, I don't care. Shut up, right? I don't want to think about it. It's like, well, it says, what's on, how are the socks doing? I don't want to think about it. And that's lazy doubt. That's lazy doubt. And time's ticking, The time's ticking on all of us. And the more we put off, wrestling with well, what is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? What is going to make me happier? The longer we put that off, the less likely it is that we're going to have time to do it in the future. So that's the lazy doubt. Just not feeling like it. So it made it into the top 8, 10 list that he lists here. Carelessness, laziness, that's a big one. And I just don't feel like it. Too lazy, or keeping too busy all the time. That's another form of laziness for those of you who are here during the weekday nights. Mistaken views of the world which are left uncorrected, failing to reach specific levels of spiritual life, not being firmly established in them, etc. We'll just skip down. If you wish to stop these obstacles, there is one and only one crucial practice for doing so. You must use kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Bingo. Okay, there it is. Ka-ching. If you want to overcome the obstacles in your own life, you have to develop these kinds of 4 immeasurables.